out there, you listening and watching folks? How's it going? This is Rebel Rock Radio, episode number 181. And I am one half of the team, Steve, and with me is JD.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive.
We're here and we're alive. So let's see who we got in the chat so far. We got Matthew. He was here a few minutes early. We got Spencer. How's it going?
Mm-hmm.
And there's Spencer there. And then we have CEO Star Wars Non-Toxic Alliance.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm sure some more will trickle in.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we continue our Spirit of Star Wars. Where did my thingy go? There it is. Spirit of Star Wars series with part 3 of our Jedi discussion.
Our third and final discussion.
Yes.
Steve's probably happy about.
And tonight we are going to be talking about the powers of a Jedi. Matthew says it looks like I was wearing a bib. No, I'm not wearing a bib. This is my old school Rogue One radio shirt.
It's that 80s style thing that's throwing him off.
It's according to T Public, it is called a baseball shirt.
Oh. Well.
At least I think that's what they call them. Is that right? See, now I can't remember.
Steve! Hey, Steve!
Hey, Steve! It's Steve's fun. How's it going there? Yeah, I think they're called baseball.
I think you're probably right. They're just called a baseball tee. And I think the ones that have the cut down the middle with the buttons in it, they just call them like baseball jersey tees or something.
Oh, yeah. Now, see, if T Public did baseball jerseys, that would be pretty cool. It'd be awesome to have a Rebel Rock.
Have the Rebel Rock on the back and like a little emblem right here showing the Rebel Rock.
Yeah.
Right, that would be freaking cool.
That would be awesome. I should find a place that does those.
That'd be pretty cool.
Either a baseball jersey or a hockey jersey. That'd be cool too.
Okay.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, hockey season's only 30 days away. So now, pretty soon, I'll be able to stop complaining about my baseball team and start complaining about my hockey team.
I only watch the local team, and I don't keep up a lot with their doings. I just watch and enjoy, and if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. It's just one of those things.
Well, we don't have a local hockey team, so, and if we did, I probably wouldn't care. There is a local baseball team. I forgot what the name of them. I just had this discussion with somebody because they keep changing their names.
Well, we've talked about it on the show before about your local baseball team.
I think this was on Discord because I was having a discussion about minor league teams.
Mm-hmm. Matthew says college football.
Oh yeah. I remember because they changed their name again, like just recently.
Oh.
And now the name of the team is Oklahoma City Baseball Club.
Oh yeah.
That's
it. That's all you get.
Yeah, that's as original as you could get. So
that's all you get.
I don't care about them. Don't care about college sports, local college sports. Well, I don't care about college sports.
I care about college football for a very good reason. I do enjoy watching college football, but I'm not like into it real big, and I don't quite understand the conferences and how those all work and all that kind of stuff. I just enjoy watching college football. It's a lot of fun because it seems like it's a more non-flashy version of it, if you will, because the kids are trying to make a name for themselves and they're really trying hard and doing that stuff. But the reason why it's significantly important for me is because my girlfriend is a huge Oklahoma University fan, Sooners.
Yeah.
And if they don't do well, the household goes to crap because then she's upset because her team's not doing well. So unfortunately, I have to be invested in that aspect of it because
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't really have a choice.
I don't care about OU. And my my wife actually attended University of Oklahoma. That's where she got her bachelor's degree from, but she is also not a Sooners fan.
Interesting.
Just don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about the local sports. But yeah, baseball, I'm a White Sox fan. Yeah, Matthew says he's big into all football. College football isn't much different than NFL with all of the NIL money. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Anyway, so tonight we're going to be talking about Jedi powers / abilities
/ lightsaber forms.
Yeah, well, that's part of the abilities. And then we've got our show and tell coming up in a little while, and as always, we will have tunes.
Speaking of which,
let's start with our first tune of the evening. Alrighty. This first one comes to us from Brooklyn, New York. The band is called Early Riser. They have an album coming out in October called Big Life. And actually, I don't know what label that's coming out on. The press release I got did not mention a label, so maybe it's an independent release. Anyway, so we're going to be playing a song from that album. So here is Early Risers with the song Strays.
I tell the stories of where I have been. I'm sorry, I won't let you pet me. I just need some time before I let you in. 'Cause no one tells you that leaving is only the start of chipping away at the glacier surrounding your heart. So give me all your patience and give me lots of time and give me reassurance this life is truly mine. We're all a little broken, but now we're all a bunch of strays just looking for a home. They say it takes days feeling nervous and weeks to get settled and months to build trust. I know that sometimes I'm still skittish, but I'm warming up as I slowly adjust. 'Cause no one tells you that kindness is hard to accept when you're more familiar with wasting away from neglect. So give me all your patience and give me lots of time and give me reassurance this life is truly mine. We're all a little broken, but now we're less alone. We're all a bunch of strays just looking for our home. You can see it in the Polaroids that you took when I was laughing, that I'm finally getting comfortable, and the thundercloud is passing. So give me all your patience and give me lots of time and give me reassurance this life is truly mine. We're all a little broken, but now we're less alone. We're all a bunch of strays just looking for our home. We're all a bunch of strays just looking for our home. We're all a bunch of strays, but now we're finally home.
We're all just a bunch of strays looking for our home. Yeah. Agreed. So that was Strays by Early Riser. and their album Big Life will be coming out on October 11th. So the conversation going on in the chat room. So if you don't already know, Spencer is not a fan of sports in general. And Matt says just don't call it sports ball.
Sport.
And uh-oh, I lost you. And Spencer came in and said, I prefer the term yawn ball. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of football. I like baseball and hockey and soccer. That's about it. Yeah, don't like that.
I like pro football. I do like I said, I do like college football. I'm just not like I don't have a team or anything like that I necessarily follow. And yeah, I like soccer. I like going to watch hockey. Like I said, I'm not big into the fandoms or anything for hockey and baseball. I like going to our. I love going to our. More than anything, I really like going to the local AAA team here in town or here in Wichita. It's actually a lot of fun, and we have a good time. We always love to watch it, so it's a lot of fun.
Like when we had one, there was one in Oklahoma City, a soccer team. I was a season ticket holder to that. That was a lot of fun. I'm not sure what I think the problem with them right now is they don't have a stadium to play in. And because they were playing at I want to say high school, but I think it was actually a junior high stadium. Like there was a big stadium that actually belonged to a junior high school or middle school, whatever you want to call it. And they played there. And then something happened where they lost. Like I guess they got kicked out or I don't know what happened. So they haven't played since then. It's actually, I think it's been since COVID that they haven't played. So that is true, Spencer. I agree. Spencer said soccer isn't big here in the U.S. because we didn't give it the proper name. That is
well,
true.
but if you said I want to watch football or football, you'd confuse people.
That's true.
So
anyway, man, what was I getting at? Yeah, I used to follow the Seahawks. Hey, Isaac popped in with soccer is a child's sport. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I used to follow the Seahawks, but eventually, like the time between where I am now and the time I actually lived in Seattle is just kind of, I just fell away from it, I guess. Yeah, Oklahoma City used to have a hockey team, Matt, a hockey team. I don't remember the Blazers, but I do remember when I moved here from Seattle, there was a team called the Barons. And I went to a couple of games, and then, like, all of a sudden, they just disappeared. They weren't there anymore. So, I don't know. Well, anyway, what have you been up to this week?
Let's see. Quite a bit, actually. This weekend, for Labor Day, I kind of hung out at the house because I was on call for some work. So I got the chance to play Outlaws quite a bit.
Yeah.
Made it about 3 hours into it. I like it. It's pretty good. It's neat, kind of different mechanics, kind of different way of doing things. And I'm not sure quite how to handle it because I'm used to Star Wars games being Jedi and Sith and like Survivor and things like that where you get lightsabers. Now you get to play with blasters and things like that. And I find myself in conflict because you have to have a reputation with either the Crimson Dawn, the Pikes, or the Hut Cartel. I don't know which one I want to be in better terms with. Right now in the game, I'm in better terms with I haven't ran into the Hut Cartel yet. I'm in better terms with Crimson Dawn than I am with the Pikes right now.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so
I'm kind of going that route on purpose.
I kind of am, because I think I would rather be friends with.
I prefer the Crimson Dawn over the Pikes. I don't really like the Pikes.
Yeah, I'd rather be friends with Kira and the Crimson Dawn than I would be with the Pikes. The Pikes are just bad. Now the Hutt Cartel, I definitely don't want to be friends with, just because
I don't want to deal with them. I did do a job for them, but then I kind of more or less double crossed them.
Yeah,
that job.
Mm-hmm.
But I am currently on a planet that is like you go to this one planet after you leave Canto Bight.
Mm-hmm.
There's another planet that you do a bunch of missions on, and I'm more or less done with that planet, and I'm on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Spencer. I have gotten. I don't know if you're talking about the same thing as far as cosmetics, but I've been able to put a different skin on my blaster.
I think you actually get like a
game. It's not open world in the way that like Fallout is open world.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, because I've played Ubisoft games before. I played Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed is like open world, or like, well, basically open city. You can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Now I understand you're going from planet to planet to planet, and you're going like into cities, and I understand that's a lot of information, to put into a game of that size.
Mm-hmm.
But it really doesn't feel like it doesn't really feel so far. I really don't see a lot of open world, quote unquote, full open world. It's kind of like Survivor. Survivor was open world, but you still have certain areas that you still had to go forward in a certain area, and they're like open world, but there's nothing to do in those open world areas. There's just like, maybe a few minor things, but really your missions were at the end of the road.
Right.
And
so you can go anywhere, but like you said, there's not anything to do in a lot of those places, because you have to follow, like you have your main storyline and you have your side missions that can take you into different areas.
Yeah.
But outside of those areas, it's like, okay, you're there. What now? What? Yeah. Like Spencer says, it's open world to a degree, like Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah,
I can see that. But that being said, I mean, aside from the fact that it's not as open world as I was hoping, I do like the game.
Because when they say full open world, I'm like, so I can go anywhere within reason, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, within reason, you can go anywhere you want, but you can go places. You can do a lot more, and it's a lot more expansive. Now, you would think that, like, I don't know, the open worlds would be 3 major cities on 3 planets, where you have like the Pike control one, the Crimson Dawn control one, and the Hutt control one.
Yeah.
So most likely one would be Tatooine, one would be like, the second planet you go to, and then like Crimson Dawn's main planet that they control would be something different. So they would make 3 major cities, because like in Assassin's Creed, you can do the same thing. You can go between different cities, and it's true open world in those different cities or those different places, or you just travel across like Origins or like Black Flag, where you just travel to different places, and then you stop at a city, and then you go into that city, and it's open world. You can do a bunch of stuff. You can see a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more of a open world, but in this direction.
Yeah. It's still a fun game. I like it.
I enjoy the crap out of it. It's cool. It's a neat game. I mean, you've got a lot of options. I mean, the pet lets you do any things. You can do a lot of different things. You can either stealth a mission, or you can straight up go in guns blazing. It kind of gives you it gives you the it gives you the ability to kind of whatever play style you want to do, and and it directly affects your outcome of the story, or as far as like reputation and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like it.
It is open world, but not in the same way that like Elder Scrolls or Fallout is. But still, Still fun, and yeah, I'm enjoying playing it.
And I guess people were saying there's some early glitches or this, that, and the other thing in it, and I haven't noticed anything, to be honest with you. I haven't really noticed any glitches.
The only glitch, and I don't even know if it's a glitch, it could have just been my system. And it's only happened once. I was playing, and then all of a sudden, the game just closed. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's a game glitch or like it booted right back up when I turned it back on, but yeah, it was just weird. But
yeah, I haven't.
so
Like I said,
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I would say I'm on a PS5, and I really haven't noticed anything really weird about it.
Yeah, I haven't had any. See, I'm playing on an Xbox, but yeah, I haven't had. I haven't had any visual glitches like Spencer's saying he's had. Haven't had any crashes except that no freezes. I haven't had any freezes.
No, my game hasn't froze up, and like I said, I really haven't seen any glitches yet.
That one time that the game just turned off.
Yeah, it just crashed
with no warning. It wasn't like it froze and then closed. It was like I'm playing and I'm doing something. I'm running. I'm actually on my speeder bike going, and then the game just shuts off, and it's like, oh crap.
And the crazy thing about it is too is that, to be honest with you, I've played a lot of games between PS4, PS5, all the different games, all the different systems. I've played a lot of different systems, and I've never really had a game. I've had very few games that didn't have like glitches and problems right out the gate. Some of them are worse than others, and then some of them they're just a few minor crashes, a few minor issues. They release a couple patches and it's good. I mean, they don't catch everything, but the amount.
I am not a Padawan, sir. All right.
No, I've had very few. I've had some games that like the crashes and the glitches were way worse than. I've had games that I couldn't even play because the crashes are worse. I've had games that come out.
How do I find out how many hours I have in a game?
I think it's on your. Resume place where you go to resume or something like that. Like you save game. Like once you get into the game, you press pause to save game, and I think it'll tell you your hours.
There's not any way to do it while I'm not in the game.
No, not that I'm aware of. I think you actually have to get into the game and then hit pause and go into the save menu game, and then it'll tell you how many you got.
How many hours? Okay, how to find out how many hours you've played on Xbox. Okay.
Oh, is that what you...
Open the guide, select game activity. What? There's no game activity. What are you talking about?
You have an Xbox?
By pressing the Xbox.
Because I think you can also too. I think on PlayStation when you go into the load screen, I think there's a way to tell there too. I've never really paid that much attention, but
stats maybe. There we go. Oh, 16 hours.
Holy crap! You got way more than me. I'm like 3 hours into it.
Yeah, but I'm probably not. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying that the time that you've played in a game is not a very good. Why won't my Xbox turn off? What the hell?
Now we hope it'll go off.
It'll go into rest. It's a good indicator of how far into a game I am because, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, and like CEO Star Wars said last year, like the Jedi Survivor had a lot of bugs. I've had Assassins, like I said, I've had games that have come out that you can't even play. I heard about like Cyberpunk had so many problems.
Oh man,
they had to shut the game down, and they actually had to recode a lot of stuff to get it to even work.
Yeah, I actually didn't even buy that game until all the glitches were fixed.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't really like a demand or like something I really, really wanted to play, like I wanted to play Outlaws.
Well, I wanted it, but like right off the bat, I heard that there were so many glitches, and I'm like, oh, yeah, not even gonna touch that.
Yeah. And I can't, and the thing I hate about it is people get upset with it and they say things like, like I've always enjoyed Ubisoft's games, but people are like, their quality's kind of gone down. And I think as far as Assassin's Creed is concerned, it kind of has gone down just because they're selling games to the same prices, but it seems like the content in them is not going as, they're not putting as much content in them. And, but I know that I couldn't figure out how to do these things. And so for me, it's more of a try to appreciate, what they're doing and the coding and everything that it takes to do these things, because I know I couldn't do it. So, I mean, I try to appreciate it from that respect. And, same thing with Outlaws. There's going to be problems. There's going to be a few bugs. They'll work out a few bugs. They'll get the patches in there to get some of the stuff fixed. They got to work it through. They try to go through and they try to do these things. They try to find all the bugs. But like, it seems like me too, that like people with PCs and stuff like that do, everybody's PCs and what they've got on them and all their operating systems and their graphics cards and their RAM and everything. There's such a menagerie of what you can have on it. And people are like, oh, this game sucks because it's not playing right. Well, it might be your system. I mean, honestly, maybe you've got a piece of hardware there that's outdated or something, or there's something corrupt on your computer that's causing it not to play. Who knows? But I don't know. Like I said, on my PS5, it seems to work fine. I haven't had any issues. I haven't seen anything wrong. And so far I'm enjoying it. I think it's good.
Yep, definitely a good, fun game to play.
I also, not really the weekend, but I did get to play today. I did get to play a little bit of Quidditch Champions, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Yeah. And that's fast-paced, very interesting. It's a very interesting game, but it's cool. The mechanics of it are kind of neat, and the way you play it is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play. I can see where people I think are going to get bored with it quick though, because it's a 7-minute. You play 7-minute matches.
Yeah,
and you play 7-minute matches, and you can score whoever has the highest score after 7 minutes. Whoever gets to 100 wins. So your matches can be really short if you suck. They could be, they could go the full 7 minutes. It just kind of depends. And we've had matches that have gone both ways, so it's kind of cool. And Spencer, definitely, man. We can get into. I got a buddy from England that plays, and we have a great time with it. Yeah. And we can definitely team up. It'd be a lot of fun. No, Smirking Bear. A Legacy did not get Quidditch, and I think they specifically didn't put Quidditch into it because Quidditch Champions was coming out. So they did not put Quidditch. You get a Quidditch pitch, and you can fly around the Quidditch pitch, and you have a mission where you can fly your broom through the Quidditch pitch and then through some other places. But no, they did not actually put Quidditch in the game, and there's a scene in there where they explain why they didn't put Quidditch in the game. It's part of the storyline, but I think it's mostly because they decided they were going to make an independent game for Quidditch.
Yeah. So, speaking of games, we played Red 5 Tavern played D&D Friday, and I was one of the players then.
Nice.
Always a good time there. We're going to be playing the Star Wars RPG soon.
Yes, that'll be fun.
So that'll be once we get that going, we will have. I think I'm going to put it out on our Patreon first, and then eventually it will hit our YouTube channel. But I'm going to do like an early access thing with it for our Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, we do have a Patreon, and you can be a patron, a member of our select group for only $2 a month. and you can get the bonus content like the early access and exclusive content on there. And when you sign up, you get some stickers. And in addition to that, you get your name shouted out on this show. And as soon as I can find that slide, I will give our shout outs for this week. Shout out goes to Dave Brown, Kelly and Chris, Justin Hensley, Charlie Kirby, Chantel, Matthew, who is in our chat room tonight, and Steve, who is also in our chat room tonight. So thank you all for your contributions. And if you would like to be a patron, you can just go to our, what do you call that? Bio link right there. bio.link/Rebel Rock Radio. And you can click the link that takes you to our Patreon, and you can sign up. Again, only $2 a month. Super cheap.
I actually wanted to comment on something Spencer was saying real quick because I've been playing it quite a bit today. The Quidditch Champions is free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Now, if you want to pay $40 for it, the only thing the $40 basically does is it gives you some gold and it gives you skins for the Hogwarts houses, and I think one or two other insignificant, or like a broom or something like that you can get. But it's voluntary. You don't have to pay that. You don't have to do microtransactions, and the microtransactions that they do have will not affect your gameplay because everything you need to upgrade your skills and upgrade your brooms is all stuff that you have to win by playing matches, and you don't have to play PvP matches in order to get those upgrades either. You can play the Hogwarts House Cup. You can play other things in there in order to do all this. You don't have to spend the money. It's not an obligation to spend the money. Just some people are, so they can get their like house robes and things like that. And if you have a Hogwarts Legacy account through WB or like a Wizarding World account through WB, you can link all that and you actually get a few special t-shirts. And I think if you have Hogwarts Legacy, you get a special broom in there as well that you can upgrade as you play.
Cool. Yeah, I'm playing that. I'm not into that fandom enough to want to play a video game for it. So. But cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think anything else. I went and watched Aliens again. Alien Romulus.
I still haven't got a chance to see that yet.
Man,
but I want to. I want to.
It's good. Oh, also, was that last week? I can't remember if that was last week after we did our show or not, but I went and watched a theatrical re-release of The Batman. The 2021? When did that come out? Fuck, I don't even remember. 2022. The 2022 film, they did a theatrical re-release. They're kind of gearing up for the Penguin TV show.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, we watched the re-release, we watched the movie, and then after the movie, there was like a special behind-the-scenes thing for the Penguin show.
Now, is Colin Farrell going to play the Penguin?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
And he was one of the people that they were interviewing for this behind-the-scenes thing. And
nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that show. It's going to be good. I was a big fan of that movie.
Is this going to be like a Max original show or something?
Yes. Definitely looking forward to that. That'll be on HBO Max. As we were leaving the theater, I was talking to my youngest, and I was like, now that I think about that, including this time that we went and saw this movie, I have now seen that movie in the theater 6 times.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw it quite a few times.
Wow.
I think the only movie that I have seen in the theater that many times, other than this one, was Rogue One. So the funny thing is, okay, so when it originally came out, I saw it like 3 times in the theater. And then they did a re-release when they were gearing up for Andor season 1. And again, it was one of those that did a theatrical release and then also did a behind the scenes Millennium Workshop. How's it going?
Hey,
good evening. Crap. What was I talking about?
squirrel.
No, they did they did the movie, and then they did a behind the scenes thing for Andor. So they played it for a straight weekend. And this was when I was living up in Michigan. It was in the theater Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I went all 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I've seen that one in the theater. Now, see, I've seen that in the theater 6 times, but I could not tell you how many times I've ever like seen the movie, because I own the Blu-ray, and then since it's hit Disney Plus, there's no telling how many times I've seen that movie.
That would be the same way with like the original trilogy of Star Wars, because since it came out on, well, let's see, since the first time I had my own TV and bought my own CD player. Well, yeah, no shit. Since I was able to watch it at my own house, I've been doing like marathons like every year.
Yeah.
Like sometimes 2 of them a year. So I can't even count how many times I've actually watched them like at home or.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
I have no idea.
So, yeah, I have no idea.
Spencer says the most I've seen a movie in theaters in game and 7 times. Wow.
Wow. I did watch that, I think 3 times. I watched that 3 times, but I also watched Rise of Skywalker 3 times in theaters. And I think I actually watched The Last Jedi 4. I think I actually watched The Last Jedi 4 times in theaters.
I think I saw The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker both 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
In game, I'm pretty sure I saw that one 3 times as well.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as MCU movies, I think the one I've seen in the theater most is probably Winter Soldier. I think I saw that 4 times. Yeah. Anyway, it's time for another song. And then it is show and tell time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else I did this week. Oh, yeah. Before we get to the song, speaking of music, I did another episode of Radio Unfriendly.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I dropped it on Sunday night. It was about the Chicago pop punk band Smoking Popes. So that was a fun episode. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. You can find it on the YouTube channel. It's there under Radio Unfriendly, has its own like playlist on our YouTube channel, so you can find it that way. But I will also. Why is it the Radio Unfriendly? That's just the name of the show, man. I am Radio Unfriendly. Okay, so back to music. Yeah, squirrel. Okay, so take a drink. This one is from Huntington Beach, California. The name of the band is The Black Pacific. Interesting thing about this band is the singer from this band is also the singer from a band that you might have actually heard of called Pennywise. Not Pennywise the Clown, Pennywise the band. Anyway, so he started this other band. They've been around for a few years called The Black Pacific. And they have a new album coming out on September 20th. The name of that album is Here Comes Our Wave. That is coming out on Dine Alone Records. And we're going to play their first single from that album. So here is the Black Pacific with I Think I'm Paranoid.
Nice.
Terrorist groups are planning bombs, cold up plots to the Pentagon. To worldwide hate crime marathon, when is it gonna stop? Yeah, CIA and the TV, abortion killers and people please. The world is full of enemies, when is it gonna stop? I think I'm paranoid, but it's something that I can't avoid. That the world's a scary place, I'm afraid of the human race. Well, I think I'm paranoid, but it's something that I can't avoid. That world's a scary place, I'm afraid of the human race. Let's go. Militias, Nazis, socialists, anti-fascists, anarchists. Everybody's really pissed. When is it gonna stop? Yeah, government is fine on me. Like this virus killer bee. Hurricanes, earthquakes, climate change. When is it gonna stop? I think I'm paranoid, but it's something that I can't avoid. That the world's a scary place, I'm afraid of the human race. Well, I think I'm paranoid, but it's something that I can't avoid. That world's a scary place, I'm afraid of the human race. Let's go. Terrorist groups are planning bombs, cold up plots to the Pentagon. It's a worldwide hate crime marathon, when is it gonna stop? Yeah, CIA and the TV, abortion killers and people think. World is full of enemies, when is it gonna stop? I think I'm paranoid, but it's something that I can't avoid. That the world's a scary place, I'm afraid of the human race. Well, I think I'm paranoid, but it's something that I can't avoid. That world's a scary place, I'm afraid of the human race. Killer cops and killer bees, CIA and the TV are some things you can't avoid. I think I'm paranoid.
All right. The Black Pacific with I Think I'm Paranoid. Actually, the band sounds a lot like Pennywise, and it probably has something to do with being the same singer. Guitar is a little bit different. It's a different guitar player, but overall, it kind of sounds like Pennywise.
Kind of sounds like what would happen if Rage Against the Machine went speed punk metal.
Went what?
If Rage Against the Machine went speed punk,
like skate punk.
Yeah, like skate punk. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Anyway, yeah, that was the Black Pacific with I Think I'm Paranoid. And we have another song coming to you. Who knew Pennywise could sing that well? It's not Pennywise the Clown. That's probably where they got the name, I'm sure.
He drew a
lot. But it is now time for Show and Tell. Show and Tell time. Show and Tell time. I need to come up with some music for that. Show and Tell time. Anyway.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think you said you have something.
I do.
And I do have something. So
right on. The cool part about it is I have something Jedi related this time, and then when we do our Sith stuff, I have something Sith related. And tonight's show and tell may be a clue of what I have for the Sith stuff.
Interesting.
So I guess I'll go first. Sure.
Okay.
So on the subject of the Acolyte, all controversies and rumors and dumb stuff aside, because if you want to know how we feel about the Acolyte, you probably can go back and revisit a few of our episodes, and we'll tell you exactly what we think about it. So we're really not going to address any of the controversy that's going on right now. We just don't want to get into it. Just don't freaking feel like it. So, that being said, knowing how we felt about the show and the fact that I enjoyed the show, I've made it no secret that I wanted 3 things from the Acolyte. I wanted the Stranger's helmet, I wanted the Stranger's lightsaber, and I wanted Master Soul's lightsaber. So, thanks to one of my favorite third-party Star Wars lightsaber replica companies, I purchased myself the Master Soul lightsaber.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice. And it even comes complete with the discoloration on the end of the saber, which is pretty freaking awesome.
It's almost like it got burnt.
Yeah. So let me see if I can.
Pretty cool stuff. Turn it on. Ooh.
There you are, people.
Yeah, I
like it.
Salacious. Says very nice probing device. Yes.
It could be, but that's not what it's for.
I still do not own a lightsaber. I think if I was going to get one, I think the first one I would get would probably be Anakin's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. The Graflex.
Yeah. Millennium says, I will make you the helmet, gauntlet, and the lightsaber.
Nice.
Very cool.
Keep that keep that thought in mind. Come back for our first Sith series, and I'll get an update on that.
I need a Boba Fett helmet.
Yeah, I still need to talk to him. So, Millennium, I still need workshop. I still need to talk to you. I still need to holler at you about making me my diamond stand for my sideshow piece that I want to put together. So I still need to talk to you about that. So I definitely need to find you and DM you and get something going on that.
Is that all you got?
That's it. That's all I got. I got me another lightsaber to add to my collection. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So for my show and tell, I recently resubscribed to a Star Wars encyclopedia subscription thing. I had been doing it for a while, and then I quit. That's disgusting.
Salacious never lets us down. We love you. We love you, Salacious. You're awesome, buddy.
I do not need a double-ended flash. So I resubscribed to this thing, and I got my first set of books since resubscribing. So I got these books here. So I am going to show you in order here. The first one is The Rise of the Rebellion and the Battle of Yavin.
Nice.
I have not read any of these yet, by the way.
They're not even out of the plastic wrap yet.
No, I don't even have plastic off yet. Okay. Got Yoda and Other Users of the Force.
See, that would have come in handy tonight.
Yeah, that's like pretty cool. The next one is kind of the same, along the same lines, but I'm kind of wondering why they went with this character. But it is Kylo Ren and Other Followers of the Dark Side. See, if I was gonna talk about users of the dark side, Kylo Ren would not be the first person I thought of.
Okay, you realize what you just did. You just triggered Matthew because he does not like Hand Killer at all.
He doesn't like what?
He doesn't like Hand Killer.
He doesn't like what?
The Han Killer. He doesn't like Kylo Ren because he killed Han.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if I was going to talk about followers of the dark side, he would not be the first person that I would think of.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Spencer. He's kind of a baby dark side user, so he really would not be the first one.
But
he would not be the first one.
The fourth book that I got, saving the best for last.
TIE fighters.
TIE fighters. Yeah.
Just need a whole book on TIE interceptors. That would be great.
Yeah, I just need a book about TIE fighters. That's all I need. And then a life-size replica, which they had at Celebration Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Actually, they've had it at Celebration Anaheim, Chicago, and
I assume so.
And California.
And California. I've been to, so
yeah.
And I did get a picture of it. I think. Did I? I didn't think about this ahead of time, by the way. I think I did. Let me check I have a photo album of Celebration 2019. Yep, there it is. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can download this and show it to you. Yeah, and it comes in the right format too. So, let's get that one in there. Yeah, when I saw this in the big room, I was pretty happy about it. That is not as close as I got to it. That's just where I took the picture. I did get like right up to it because I was like, oh, I gotta.
When we went to Anaheim, the first time I ever went to a Star Wars celebration, they actually had that thing sitting in front of the celebration stage, and people were a little annoyed by it because you couldn't see around it in some respects. But it's cool. I mean, it's awesome to look at.
Millennium's leaving us. He's got to go work on some more helmets.
Yep. See you, buddy. But yeah, nevertheless, the people that do that stuff and put work into that kind of thing is insane. It's crazy, and it's all fan made stuff. Yeah. That's stuff that fans do. And we even had one in Anaheim where the guy had put together his own Rancor and did his own full size Rancor.
Yeah,
that thing was crazy. It was huge. It was very accurate. It was crazy looking. That was a lot of
fun. So another thing, this isn't really part of show and tell per se, but I wanted to show you something that is Star Wars related and also comic book related. This comic book is going to be released tomorrow. Tonight's Tuesday. Comic books come out on Wednesday, but this is coming out tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So, if you are a fan of the Acolyte or a fan of High Republic or whatever, this comes out tomorrow. It's written by Cavan Scott. So,
he's done a lot of the High Republic books.
Yeah, he has. He's done a lot of the. I wonder if Rancor is edible. I'm sure it is. I mean, I wouldn't eat it. But I'm sure somebody would eat it. In Galaxy, of course. I mean,
well, I'm sure if you cut it up and ate it in Star Wars Galaxy, yeah, it probably would be edible. I would imagine. I would think.
Yeah, I haven't been to Galaxy yet, so I imagine. I would have to imagine that they have something that they say is Rancor meat. I don't know.
We didn't get a chance. We went, but we didn't get a chance to go to Olga's Cantina because the queue lines for the rides were insane when we went.
Yeah.
In California. So we didn't get a chance to go into the canteen at all to have any of the food. We didn't get an opportunity, which is something I want to go back for, but I have to convince my girlfriend to go back in the winter because she can't stand the heat, and obviously you can't go to Florida and not experience heat.
Right.
So it has to be in the winter. So yeah.
All right. Well, that was all for show and tell. It is time for our last tune of the evening before we start talking about our main topic, which is the powers and abilities of the Jedi. This last song comes to us from, I am going to butcher the name of this town, Imdebruck, Germany. Somewhere in Germany. The band is called No Guidance. They have an album coming out on September 20th called Late to the Party. That is being released by Thousand Island Records. And we have a single coming at you. Matthew says Rancor tastes like chicken. You've had Rancor? Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah. So we are going to play this song from No Guidance. So this is No Guidance with the song Shores. Shores.
You're not here and I can stand the loneliness you left behind. Give me a sign, one more small advice, just to keep the memories alive. And the sound of your voice are the last we shared offshore. Your blood is running through my veins, but I don't think I've ever been this attractive to myself. Please tell me it's not too late. Can't we just go back to the start and give some love to all the pieces that are left of our hearts, and find what we've been looking for ever since the day you left us, when you let go of the shore. You were my teacher, you were groundbreaking for my life, and I feel ashamed of all the struggles I've caused you. But here I am paying the price for your reckless departure. Did you forget us? Didn't you have any other choice? My confidence disappeared. I don't feel safe, but I'm still here. I forgive you once again. I'll set your course by the stars. Can't we just go back to the start and give some love to all the pieces that are left of our hearts, and find what we've been looking for ever since the day you left us, when you let go of the shore. There's a light in the distance, more than clear. I tried to get there many times, but got caught up by my fears. 'Cause every time I think I reach the light, it gets weaker with every step. At long last it disappears, and I wish, can't we just go back to the start? Can we just go back to the start and give some love to all the pieces that are left of our hearts, and find what we've been looking for ever since the day you left us, when you let go of the shore. Oh, when you let go of the shore. The day you let go of the shore. Oh, when you let go of the shore. The day you let go of the shore.
All right. Shores by No Guidance.
Very Green Day-ish.
There's a lot of stuff out there that could be compared to Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, Green Day could be compared to a lot of stuff that came before them. It's the problem. I would say the problem. I'll just use the word problem. The problem is that Green Day made that sort of music popular.
Mm.
Like there was music that sounded like them way before they came out. It's just that they made it popular and now everybody is like, oh, it sounds like Green Day. Well, Okay, I mean, yeah, I guess. but yeah, they do kind of have similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, it is time to talk about the Jedi power. I don't remember how long this sound clip is. There we go.
It makes me mad. I took my blade. It makes me mad. I took the blade out. I would have left it in if I didn't know that was going to happen.
So we're going to kind of split this discussion into two separate parts. First, JD is going to take the lead and talk about lightsaber combat.
Specifically forms. So if anybody who doesn't know or hasn't followed that deep into the lore, Jedi actually follow a form system, or not really a form system. They have a form system that they can study depending on what style of combat fits them the best. And different Jedi have taken two different types of forms. And so what I wanted to kind of discuss for those of you who don't know it, and I actually have a website brought up because there are specific names for these types of forms. It's kind of like form 1 through 7. But the thing about forms 1 through 7 is there's actual names for them, and I forgot where these names actually came from. I believe they come from Kempo style of fighting and things like that. So, but I didn't want to butcher the names, so I want to go over some of these real quick with everybody and kind of give you some of the biggest practitioners of these forms. So I took notes and I wrote them down on my phone. So I will start off from the beginning. And so lightsaber form 1 is basically we kind of touched on this a little bit last week when we talked about Padawans. And they basically, what they study is they study what they call form 1. And so let's see here. Form 1 is pronounced Shicho. And this is the basic lightsaber form. Did we lose Steve? I think we lost Steve. Can anybody confirm? Did we lose Steve, or did we lose me? I'm not sure what happened. Steve's down. I'm still here. Okay, so I'll just keep going until Steve comes back. I'm not sure what happened to Steve, but I'm sure Steve will come back. So just give me a minute here. We'll keep going with this. Okay. Anyway, so form 1, like I said, primarily used by Padawans, is called the Shicho. Form 2 is called, like I said, if you've seen these names before, it's easy to butcher them. So I'm trying to get the proper pronunciations for each one of these. Steve just sent me a message, said he lost his connection. So I'm going to keep going on. Hopefully you guys can interact. And hang on one second. Still. So, let's see here.
That was weird.
That was weird. There he is.
I completely lost my connection.
I was dying here. I was trying. So, form 2 is called Makashi.
Zombie Hunter. Sorry about that.
It's called Makashi, and so also known as a lightsaber combat style that emphasizes lightsaber to lightsaber combat. So Form 2 is an expertise in actually dueling among lightsabers. One of the biggest one of the biggest practitioners of the Makashi style would be Count Dooku, who was an expert in lightsaber to lightsaber combat. He was excellent at it. Form 3 was let's see here. Form 3 was Soresu. Yeah, Soresu. And one of the biggest practitioners of Suresu is actually Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's a more aggressive tactics with their enemies. It's defense against opposing attacks while using least amount of energy possible. So basically just being able to keep the fight to where you don't lose your energy, but you're able to counterattacks and use aggression when you can. So Form 4 was Artaro. I believe I'm spelling it Ataro. Make sure I'm pronouncing that right. And that was basically lightsaber combat 4 was also known as Ataru. Offensive style lightsaber combat that emphasizes speed and acrobatic attacks. So one of the biggest practitioners of the Ataru style was Master Yoda, which we saw both styles 2 and 4. If you watch Attack of the Clones, when Yoda and Count Dooku had their duel, they were both using both their styles. And that's where you see the biggest examples of those two going on. Now where Form... Go ahead.
Wasn't Qui-Gon kind of using that style too?
Qui-Gon's coming up. No, he actually used a different type of style. But it's a very similar one to that. But I'll get to him because he used a different style as well. But like Obi-Wan Kenobi, you used Form 3 a lot when he battled Vader, and like when he did a lot of his combat, if you notice, he was conservative with his movements and strikes and things like that. And his was more about moving his feet and things like that, where Yoda was about jumping around and leaping everywhere, and then Count Dooku was about being able to counter attacks and it was more about counterattacks and using in just style and elegance of Form 2. Now, so as we go forward, it's important to learn that most Jedi, when they learn these forms, they learn one form and they stick to that one form. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was very career oriented or design oriented based on what it was they were, what their role was. And which was kind of weird. I thought was kind of weird in some ways because, like, Count Dooku's lightsaber combat was weird because if they didn't know about the Sith beforehand, I guess it would have been odd to duel somebody else when basically the only other people that existed that had lightsabers when he was training was Jedi. So I kind of found that kind of weird that he would go for that. But at the same time, he just perfected one form of it. So that's the way that worked out. The only thing I didn't like about Yoda on Form 4 was that was one of my biggest criticisms of like Attack of the Clones. Yoda was walking through the hallways and walking through corridors with a cane, and then the next thing you know, he uses a style like Form 4 to bounce all over the place and uses attacks in an aggressive manner, which in my opinion made no sense. But whatever. It didn't mesh well with me. I don't know why. It was just kind of weird. Form 5. Form 5 is actually, Shien or Jimso is what Form 5 is. And Form 5's primary user was like Ahsoka with the double blades. So like Ahsoka's double blades that she used, one for defense, one for attack, that was her main style, was Form 5. And emphasizes defense stances with a powerful offensive moves. It is considered to be the most physically demanding lightsaber form. The style is often used to deflect blaster bolts back at enemies, and techniques can be used to disarm opponents and strike them with a great amount of force. So it's physically demanding, obviously, because you're holding two lightsabers and because you're having to use one to defend, one to attack. But it's much more aggressive. It's much more physically demanding lightsaber style. So now, here's Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was a practitioner of what they call Form 6. Form 6 is called Niman. Like I said, I'm making sure that I'm pronouncing this correctly. And also is a style that emphasizes integrative lightsaber techniques drawn from all previous lightsaber forms. Niman practitioners seek to achieve a balance between offense and defense, using their lightsabers as more versatile way than forms. So I guess they don't master one form like some Jedi do. So Form 6 would be more of you take bits and pieces of each one. and whatever works best for you, and you kind of incorporate them all together, but you don't really master a certain technique. That's what Form 6 is. So like a practitioner of all, but a master of none kind of situation.
Yeah.
And that's more what Qui-Gon Jinn did with his. He was more of a Form 6 kind of guy. He just took kind of bits and pieces of everything because he was trained by Count Dooku, but I don't think he emphasized dueling. But he also took like, I guess you could say like Form 3. And he wasn't much of an acrobatist, so I mean 4 really wouldn't be, but he was aggressive when he needed to be. And let's see here. Where was I? Okay. So, and then finally we have Form 7, which Form 7 would have been Juyo or Juyo and or what they call a Vapad, which is a form that was used by and perfected by Master Windu, Mace Windu. The trick with that style was this is the explanation of it. This is lightsaber combat that emphasizes precision, speed, and power. The style is often associated with the dark side of the Force. It requires its practitioners to channel their emotions and aggression into their lightsaber techniques. However, lightsaber combat 7 can be used at both light and dark side purposes. So, I mean, in order for you to do Form 7 and to become a master at Form 7, you had to be able to put aside the emotional side and the dark side to be able to balance it to a point where it wasn't going to turn you to the dark side, but you could use it. It was a very aggressive, very fast-paced style of lightsaber combat, but there was a lot of power behind it too. And obviously, you see that when you saw him fight Emperor Palpatine. He was able to use his abilities. He was able to use that form without falling. Well, I guess you can't really say he didn't fall to the dark side because he really kind of went against the Jedi Code and tried to kill Palpatine without taking him prisoner first, which caused Anakin to turn. So in a way, he did master it, but in the way he was in the end when he actually had to really use that form, it almost really did turn him to the dark side because he felt like there was no other way to finish that battle except to kill Palpatine. Yeah. Yeah. So very aggressive. Yeah, it says Form 7 was one that if you lack control, it was very dangerous. It was a very dangerous lightsaber combat form if you lacked the control needed in order to use it properly as a Jedi. So, like I said, practitioners of the Sith use it too. So it's kind of one of those things where if you're using both, it could be bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see some of the comments here. Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. Some Jedi did. They hybrided forms of whatever they were taught. And like I said, a lot of those people who mixed and matched different forces or different styles of combat through the forms, they were put into Form 6 because they did hybrid a lot of those forms because they mixed and matched a lot of things. Yeah. And like I said, and I was reading some of the comments here, kind of what everybody was talking about. It says 5 is let's see, have some and 7 was frowned upon. Form 7, the Jedi actually didn't like people actually using or practicing because it was used by members of the dark side, because there was a lot of emotion behind the power, there was a lot of aggression behind the speed, and it caused you to, and in order to use it as a Jedi, you had to have great control over your emotions and what you were doing while you were doing it, and be sure not to use your emotions to overdo it. Now, like say in the Acolyte, I don't know what Master Soul was using, but Like his style lightsaber combat in some ways was also aggressive in a lot. And, like when they did in episode 5, when they did the battle, when they first met Kamir, or the Stranger, or whatever you want to call him, when they first met him, he got aggressive and he got over emotional about it too. And I don't know if that was just because of everything that happened from Jackie and all of that. It just was to the point where he got over emotional too. So. What else? Let's see. What else is important on those? I mean, as far as like combat is concerned with lightsabers and dueling and things like that, those are the basic ideas behind what the Jedi were doing and what they were learning. And yeah, they also did, and they said, who was it? Salacious said they also learned Teras Kasi. Yeah, they also did that too. I mean, you've seen. Like I said, really recently, Master Indara, she used Teras Kasi quite a bit for fighting as well, and they did learn hand-to-hand combat skills without their lightsaber. And despite the dramatics of the lightsaber, the Jedi, the Jedi's lightsaber was always referred to as a tool and not a method of diffusing or combating situations. It was always meant to be. It was never meant to be the first defense weapon, and it was never meant to be used in an aggressive manner. It was always meant to be used as a defensive weapon and to help them accomplish their task, not even to strike down or kill. Because there's even a technique, and I the name escapes me right now. I can't remember the name of it, but there's actually a technique that the Jedi are shown where their lightsaber is strictly for disarming and not for killing. And when I say disarming, I mean in the literal sense disarming. Like actually cutting off people's hands. It was actually a technique that they were taught. And it's kind of weird that way, but at least it doesn't result in their death. And in the Star Wars universe, everything gets replaced with robotics anyway. So, I mean, really, you're not losing as much, I guess. The lightsaber. Did you read that too? Smirking bear.
Well, this discussion started with Matthew saying overusing Form 7 will make you go blind. That says that's a different form of combat. That is the lesser known Form 8. And then Form 8, the way of the rum.
I believe the technical name for Form 8 is called the Yankee.
Oh, yeah.
Or in some cultures called the Yank Me. Yankee or the Yank Me. I don't.
Depends on, we won't get into that.
Depends on how you look at it and how guilty you want to feel afterwards.
Yeah. Depends on how you like it.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness! And the other thing about it too is that a lot of your forms kind of depended a lot on the style of lightsaber you use too, because you obviously your lightsaber kind of was more a reflection of each individual person, but a lot of them, like Ahsoka, would carry two, so obviously she had to use a certain type of form, or she had to master a certain type of form.
Yeah.
Somebody like Kelnaka, who's big and slow, would have to learn a certain type of form. Somebody who's small and fast like Yoda would be able to use a certain type of form and would be able to use a certain ability, certain abilities. And like somebody said in the chat earlier, Yoda was using the Force to push himself and repel himself in different directions to use his style. But if you were somebody who preferred like a double-handed sword, so you had more power and more ability, your forms would be different. Or like say you were one of the temple guards who had a double-bladed lightsaber, then your forms would be different. You would have to master certain things. So that all kind of played a role in it too. So, but lightsabers are just cool.
Yeah. And lightsabers are just part of what the Jedi can do.
Mm-hmm. So now Steve gets to talk to more Force abilities.
Yeah, so we're going to talk Force abilities, and So keep in mind that I am
More of a Sith person?
well, what I was going to say is I'm keeping this restricted to, for lack of another term, generic force abilities. I am not going to dive into any dark side specific, because that we are talking about Jedi. We're not talking about Sith yet. We will talk a little bit about specific dark side powers when we get there, but there are there are a lot of force abilities. So I was talking to JD about this earlier. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go into more detail on some of them, but others I'm just going to mention briefly because there's a lot out there. Now you actually did not mention what sources you were using for your discussion. But mine, I used a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, yeah. And then I also used, oh crap, where is it at? Hold that thought. I didn't put it back on the shelf.
I actually did use the Jedi Path, and I used several other ones. I have a few in the back here that I use for too. But what I couldn't find
that was dumb. Okay. And I used this.
Yeah, nice.
Because there is a lot of information about force abilities that you can get from that. Even though it is a role-playing game book. But there are quite a few abilities. So, some of the abilities include sense powers or sense abilities. So things like life detection, where they can feel the presence of living things and track like where they're at, which kind of goes into play somewhat with the sense force. And sense force is a very interesting ability. Not only does it allow you to sense the force itself interacting with everything around you, but depending on your control of this ability or power, it kind of gives you sometimes like a bird's eye view of what is going on around them. So kind of basically seeing beyond what your eyes will allow you to see. And this also plays into magnifying senses. You can
it's almost like having a spidey sense.
Kind of, yeah. So you can magnify your senses, and that helps you kind of see more than what a average individual would be. So it also gives you, the sense power also gives you kind of an ability to search for things, whether they be lost or hidden. It will allow you to find those things. And then I did write in my notes post-cognition, but then I did not write any notes after that. So now I can't remember what post-cognition is.
Is that the one? Okay, so is that the force ability where you can touch an object and you see what it's done or where it's been or what happened to it?
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, because I think it's called something else. It's called like force psionic.
Yeah. It's you can imprint on an item.
Well, you can imprint an item, or you can sense something that's been imprinted on an island, on an island, on an item. So so for instance, Quinlan Voss was real good at that. What'd he say?
Like the idea of I would use it, touch my special lady friend's undergarments to check who had been there in the past.
Oh God.
Oh God. So
Salacious, you never failed to deliver, buddy.
Yeah.
You never failed us.
As far as canon goes, the most you kind of see this is when they're sensing the Force, like a disturbance in the Force.
Yeah. Well, like psychometry, though, you can actually see that, or if you read the books, like we read Dark Disciple, you can actually see Quinlan Voss using those abilities.
I meant the sense powers in general.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Those are the ones you like, at least as far as the movies and the TV shows go. Those are going to be the ones you're going to see the most.
Good Lord.
Good gosh.
That's why.
So the next one is one that in canon, whether it be TV show or movie, you're going to see quite a bit of. And it is quite simply, it's telekinesis. The ability to lift things, move things, push things, pull things. Just move shit around.
move shit around. I love it. That's the basic explanation. It's move shit around and never touch it. Move shit around and never touch it.
That is what makes you a Jedi. When you can move shit around like an X-Wing fighter.
And it's the one ability that if he actually had in real life, we would abuse the shit out of it.
Oh, hell yeah. So the whole being able to move an X-Wing fighter, it took the Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, 25 years to figure out how to do that?
Yeah. And as far as we know, and I'm just going to say this, as far as we know, how long did it take Yoda to figure that out? Because he was almost 900 years old, and he did it. But how long did it take him to figure it out?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, Baby Grogu could lift an entire mud horn by himself when he was only 50 years old, or
that is true.
However, whatever that translates to in normal years, I guess, or whatever.
So yeah, we would totally use the shit out of this.
Yeah, use it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. So another one you're going to see fairly often in canon is going to be what can be referred to as farsight or precognition. So being able to sense future events or get a brief glimpse into the future. You see that a lot.
Most notably when Empire.
Luke was on Dagobah and he sensed his friends being hurt. That was farsight. Yeah, it happens a lot in Star Wars.
And if I remember correctly, farsight was something that was more of you had to tap into the cosmic force, not necessarily the living force.
Yes.
You had to be powerful enough that you could look beyond the living force and tap into the cosmic force in order to have foresight, in order to see into foresight.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of what they explained. What I've heard is the explanation behind why it scared Luke so bad is because he was overwhelmed by the ability to do that. And when he did that, it made not only the emotions of him losing his friends bad, but also the fact that he was overwhelmed and how much he could actually, how much he actually sensed through all that and how overwhelming it was.
Yeah. So another one that you do see from time to time, the only name for this that I could find in any of the material was enhance, and it's specifically referring to enhance physical characteristics. So like being able to increase your speed or your strength, or giving yourself the ability to jump higher and farther.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying earlier on Discord that I finally started my rewatch of Star Wars Rebels, and you see Ezra. Like, I'm only a few episodes in, but you see Ezra using this ability fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When he's jumping from building to building. So this is, you would think this is something that a more experienced user would need. You would have to be a more experienced user, but that does not seem to be the case. If Ezra barely had any training.
And Salacious actually said something about it beforehand. He said force speed didn't last long. They only used it in episode 1. He says, I think George realized how hard it would be to film if they carried on using it the whole time, or how ridiculous it would be if they went force speed everywhere.
Yeah.
And did it all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So not something you're gonna see too often.
Yeah. And Matthew says enhance equaling Star Wars Viagra.
Oh boy. Another ability that they can have is called beast language, which is gives you the ability to communicate with creatures, animals, whatnot. And this is more, it's not really being able to translate. It's more like a surface, the way I read about it, the way they described it, it's more like an empathy type thing. Being able to understand their intentions and to relay your own intentions. So you're not necessarily really talking to them. It's still communication, but you're not like, hi, my name is Bill. It's it's just like getting a connection with them. And we do see that off the top of my head. I'm thinking again. I'm also thinking of Star Wars Rebels, but further into the series, where Ezra talks to the giant spider things.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about the Beastmaster. We're talking about Star Wars. Completely different galaxy.
He went from Star Wars Viagra to the 1980s Beastmaster movie.
Yeah.
Matthew, consistency, buddy. Consistency.
Yes,
Consistency.
Let's see. Where do I want to go next on my list? I got that one. So this one I read about, but the only time I remember seeing it was in the sequel trilogy. And that would be force healing.
Now, I have heard, and on that note, real quick, I have heard some good arguments that it has been used before that, but only in one instance, and that's when Obi-Wan Kenobi finds Luke Skywalker in the original trilogy, or in Star Wars.
Yeah.
When he gets hit, when he gets knocked out by the Tusken Raider, he goes up and he touches him in the head, and he uses an ability, and then he kind of gets startled by R2. Now, maybe and most likely that probably wasn't the original intention, but the thing about it is that could be somewhat of an argument for that they used that before. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention on that, and I had that bookmark in this book, and I just wanted to read it. So in this book here, for those of you who want to read this, under force healing, I had said this in a previous episode before when we had talked about it with other people. Certain force abilities, certain Jedi, not necessarily that they couldn't do, but they just were not proficient at. And force healing was one of those major ones. Force healing was not something that everybody was proficient at or even could do. And like I said, it's in this book. It lists it right here in this book. And we've had a kind of a discussion in the background about it, or we had a discussion about it before in a previous episode. And that is, in fact, stated in the older, like I said, this is now non-canon, but it is stated in here that some of the abilities that they had weren't always readily available to every Jedi, which is an argument. Which is an argument we talked about before when it came to the sequel trilogy, because Rey was able to use Force healing for things, but that's because she had actually adapted that ability, where other Jedi couldn't do it before. Because everybody's like, well, why didn't the Jedi heal their guys before? Why didn't they do this way? Maybe it was just a fact that they couldn't. Maybe they just didn't. They didn't have that ability. They weren't able to.
Well,
I mean, it could be something as simple as
how proficient you are into tapping into the Force.
Well, I think if we said that Rey was better at tapping into the Force than Obi-Wan Kenobi was, and he wasn't able to heal Qui-Gon Jinn, you'd probably get a lot of arguments. You'd probably have people rioting. Because I don't think Rey was more powerful than Obi-Wan. I just think she had a different skill set than Obi-Wan.
Well, yeah, so I'm getting at some things you can tap into, whereas others that's just not their focus.
Yeah, and that's basically what the book was talking about. Is it sometimes it was either not their focus or they just weren't as there's some things that they just weren't as proficient at. They just weren't good at doing it, or it's just not something that they just not every power was available. For instance, again, I'm gonna reference back to Quinlan Voss. He was very good at psychometry, but there's other people that couldn't do it. Other people just didn't have that ability. He was very proficient at it. Other people just were not as good as him, or they just didn't have that ability. Where somebody like Rey, who maybe that was her thing, maybe that's why her lightsaber turned out yellow, is because she was more of a, practitioner and a studier, and she had more abilities, like more passive abilities, like healing and things like that. Maybe that's more what she's about.
Yeah.
So,
the argument could be said that there were certain abilities that even before he went to the dark side, Anakin could tap into that Obi-Wan did not.
Yeah. But that's only because he explored it in different ways because of he was emotional. But eventually that's
every Jedi is going to do all the exact same things.
Right.
Let's see, what were we talking about? Yeah. We were talking about
and I want to address Smirking Bear. It says in matters of modern canon ? So like we've said before, we're this book here, this particular book here, this book here are all basically non-canon anymore. These are all EU books. Where like this one here, this is more modern, this is more of the Disney modern canon.
This one here is, where the hell did it go? This one here is still partially canon, is it not?
I don't think so. I think it was older than. I think it's older than the
says
modern.
Disney on the back of it.
It does.
Yeah. Look.
Maybe it was published. I thought it was published before that. Oh no! I think it was when did you get that one? Because I think that was a Disney reprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this one. This is one that I bought when I bought the originals, and this says copyright 2010, 2011. So that might be a Disney reprint.
My copy says copyright 2021.
Yeah. So mine's 2010, 2011. So mine shows that it was written before Disney took over. So they just reprinted this. They reprinted this. It's still considered EU.
Something I didn't notice this, but look at the very top of it.
Legends. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yep.
That defeats that idea. Okay. But yeah, a lot of stuff that we're talking about is going to be a mixture of both anyway.
Yeah.
So on that note, the next one I want to talk about is one that, as far as I can remember, maybe in the Clone Wars, but outside of that, I can't remember anybody using this in any of the movies or the TV shows. But I'm referring to battle meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So battle meditation is something that you have to put yourself into, like, you got to really be able to control your, you kind of almost have to put yourself in a trance, and you can touch the minds of soldiers in combat, and you can like boost their morale and their fighting efficiency, while at the same time causing fear and confusion in enemy soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think if I remember right, melding the minds of the soldiers that you were on the same side was considered more of the light side of it, and then confusing and terrifying other soldiers was considered more dark side. The dark side. Is that right? Is that right?
I don't know if that's 100% accurate, because the times that I've seen it used, the Jedi were using the fear and confusion as well.
Ah, okay. You would think that'd be more. You would think that'd be more of a dark side.
That would be touching the dark side, but yeah, I mean, you're doing it for a noble cause, I guess you could say. But yeah, I can't think of a time that I've seen that in movies or TV.
In fact, the only time I've actually seen it used was, or the best reference, I think it's probably been used in other places, because I think it was actually a Old Republic thing.
Yeah.
But where I saw it used was when in the EU, when Jaina and Jason and the three kids.
Yeah.
Huh?
That is correct.
Yes. But they used it when they were fighting they were fighting the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah.
They used it during the fighting of them. They actually used that to coordinate their attacks to help them fight better.
Now, the time and person that I saw that I first became aware of this ability was in the Old Republic when Nomi Sunrider used it. And that was in the comic book, so it wasn't.
And I could have swore there was a reference in Knights of the Old Republic where Bastilla Shan used it, but maybe not. I could be wrong. Could be confusing. I could be confusing that with another instance, but I could have swore there was a thing where Bastilla Shan used it during the Knights of the Old Republic, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Yeah. Now another combat ability that I'm fairly certain that I've seen Jedi and Sith both use this. Is called, but again, I can't think of a time in movies or TV that I've seen it, and it is the bind power, where it essentially prevents, like, you're in combat and you can prevent an enemy from moving or attacking.
So kind of like a force numb.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's EU is the only time that I think I've actually seen that in action. Yeah.
See, I thought you were going to say for a second, I thought you were going to say, what is it? Force, is it Force Shield? Oh, what is it? Dang it, I know it's in here. It was the one where they deny them the ability to use the Force.
No. I know which one you're talking about.
Okay. I'm not getting ahead of you.
That one, what is the name of that?
Sever the Force.
Sever the Force, yeah.
Sever the Force.
I remember seeing that was when, again, in the Old Republic comic books, where Nomi Sunrider did that to Ulic Qel-Drama.
Yeah.
And basically cut him off of the Force. Yeah, but no, those are two different things.
Yeah, not to be confused with people cutting themselves off the Force, i.e., Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show, who cut himself off from the Force,
Or Luke,
or Luke.
kind of did. Okay, so the last one that I have in my notes that I'm going to talk about is one that we have seen quite a bit of, and that is, so the two official terms for it are either affect mind or influence, whereas the non-official term is Jedi mind trick. So this
the other one that I'm 100% certain that if he could do it, that would be abused more than
hell yeah.
Just general force.
So this is, it's basically like a form, almost a form of hypnosis, where you can create illusions. You can manipulate the behavior or the perception, mostly of weak-minded beings, because it doesn't work on everybody. You can actually remove memories from somebody, and you can actually replace memories with false ones. But yeah, Jedi mind trick we've seen from the very beginning. I mean, from A New Hope, we saw that, and we continue to see it. We saw it in the prequel trilogy. We saw it in the original trilogy. Did we see it in the sequel trilogy?
Jedi mind tricks? Oh yeah,
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Well, the best example is Force Awakens, where Rey used Jedi mind tricks to get herself free from.
Right. Yeah. When she's on Starkiller Base, right. How can I forget that one? Anyway, so yeah, whereas the lightsaber is used for exclusively for combat, these other abilities that Jedi are able to use can be used to prevent combat. But yeah, I would definitely say that if we were able to use any of these powers, that one would be the most overused. I was half expecting Salacious Rum to say something about the ability.
Say something weird. Yeah. The other one, I like Smirking Bear's comment. A good honorable mention would be Force Projection that Luke used in Episode 8 when he fought Kylo Ren. Probably, I agree with a comment that I saw on Facebook the other day in one of the non-toxic Star Wars groups. They said that it's probably one of the best, most Jedi-ish examples of Force abilities that you've probably ever seen in Star Wars, where he was able to project himself across the galaxy, through the cosmic force onto a planet and make somebody think that he was actually there and use it to affect him and get into his head in a way that we've never seen before. And it was freaking cool. It was freaking cool.
One can actually say that like falls into the same, not necessarily Jedi mind trick, but the whole that ability in general, influence or affect mind is what it's actually called. So yeah, it would have been basically he's affecting Kylo Ren's mind into thinking that he was there.
Yeah, but it's more of a projection too, because everybody thought he was standing there.
That is true.
Because even his sister knew he wasn't there, but she knew his presence was there. But C-3PO, the rest of those people didn't realize he wasn't there. Kylo Ren didn't realize he wasn't there. General Hux, all of them were shooting at him, and they didn't realize, they had no idea what was going on. I mean, they unloaded so much firepower on him, it was crazy, and it didn't even affect him. So it didn't even dawn on them that what was going on.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, to my knowledge or to my memory, that's the only time we ever see that ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only time I can remember saying it. Well, that's all I got.
Well, and one other honorable mention that we have to talk about. And we promised we were going to do this as the wrap up to our Jedi series of Spirit of the Force.
Yeah.
We can't go through and mention Jedi powers without mentioning the Force Ghost. I mean, come on. That's like iconic. You come back as a blue glowy guy, and Qui-Gon Jinn started it all.
Did he? I mean, okay. Chronologically speaking, yes, but
yeah, as far as canon,
we see it first with Obi-Wan.
I think it's more chronologically we see it with Obi-Wan, but Qui-Gon was the one. As far as the timeline and the movies and everything, Qui-Gon was the first one to tap into that ability, and he was able to teach it
in the way that you and I watched the movies. Obi-Wan was the first one to do it.
Yes. But if you go by, that's what I meant by if you go by the
actual chronology. Yes, Qui-Gon was
the one that figured it out. He taught it to Yoda
in the movies now, because that happened a lot in the Old Republic.
Yeah. And it was made an argument a while ago that the Sith couldn't do it, but that's not true either, because they could project themselves into objects. Which is not true. They could project themselves into objects. They could project themselves. They could, basically theirs was be able to project themselves into objects, and they would be able to affect things through objects.
Republic comic book, and you'll see it.
Yeah.
They did it a lot.
I love that movie, by the way, Matthew. That movie is an awesome movie.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's talk about Force Ghosts.
Force Ghosts. So basically, that was the ability to project your consciousness through the Force to people that you knew, that they could see you, and you could actually allow your essence to not fade into the Force, but you could actually use the Force to bring your essence back and speak to people through the Force, which is basically, if you think about it, kind of a living embodiment of the Force, because you had to use Force energy in order to do that, and you had to imprint your consciousness on the Force in order for you to come back and be able to do that, and to the point where you could actually manipulate the Force and use the Force while you have already dead and you were part of the Force, which is pretty crazy. I mean, in my opinion, that was pretty crazy, because I don't think that in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan wasn't able to manipulate objects or use the Force. He was just able to project himself, and he was able to speak to Luke.
Yeah.
And the only reason we know Qui-Gon Jinn for sure was the one that taught Yoda how to do it was, it was a cutscene, and then I think they put it in later in didn't they put it in Rebels? Yeah, I think there was a scene in Rebels where they talk about it in Rebels.
Oh yeah.
But that made it canon instead of making it just a cutscene on the Episode 3 DVD when they did cutscenes from the movie. You actually got to see that, and then you actually get to see him in the Obi-Wan series too, where he was able to talk to Obi-Wan and so on and so on. But where you actually get to see them interact with objects and manipulate the Force as a Force ghost is The Last Jedi, when Yoda actually burns the sacred tree.
Yeah.
And then in The Rise of Skywalker, where Luke is able to actually catch the lightsaber before she burns it, and then is able to lift the X-Wing out of the water after he transitions. And I'm gonna let people know now, if you're still here and you're still watching, or you get to watch it on the rewind, I'm gonna let you know now. For me, Luke Skywalker did not die in The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker transitioned into the Force. He became so powerful with the Force, he transitioned and went to a higher plane of being. He did not die. Say what you want. I don't care. I don't even want you to change my mind because I don't give a shit. That's my explanation.
It depends on your definition of the word die.
From a certain point of view, and my point of view is the man didn't die. He transitioned into the Force because he became so powerful.
I mean, same thing with Obi-Wan, Yoda, Qui-Gon, Anakin. They all became one with the Force.
Yoda did. Obi-Wan actually got sliced in two, but he became part of the Force because he got sliced and he disappeared. Yoda just died on his bed of old age. But to me, Luke is the perfect example of he had so much connection and so much power to the Force that you actually saw him fade away and go into the Force. He was becoming part of the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew, if that helps you sleep better at night, buddy, I'm all for it. But
that's what happened to Han, too. Mm.
Yeah. And speaking of, and going back to one you said earlier, too, we've talked about this before. The whole thing with Han showing up to Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker, that was kind of a manipulate mind, too. That was Leia manipulating Kylo's mind to make him think he was seeing his dad. Yeah. I don't think it was him. That wasn't Han coming back from the dead. That was her projecting Han into his head.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I don't think that was him coming back because he had no connection to the Force. So, yeah.
I don't. Agreed. Han did not. Yeah, Han didn't connect to the Force, so that wasn't Han. That was Leia.
No. That was Leia projecting Han into his head because she knew he was at a vulnerable point, and because you notice she wasn't dead when he had that vision.
Right.
So she was essentially doing the same thing from a far distance. She was projecting into his mind and making Han appear so that way he could talk his son back, to make Kylo switch his mind back, thinking he was talking to his dad, when it was actually his mom that was doing it. So, yeah. So to me, like I said, Luke Skywalker didn't die. From my point of view, from a certain
point of view.
From a certain point of view, no.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Nope, I get you. Well, that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks for coming in and hanging out and chatting with us and listening to our jibber jabber about the Jedi. Jedi Jibber Jabber. That should be the title of this
this segment, Jedi Jibber Jabber.
Jedi Jibber Jabber. So next week, we will be talking
about
the Sith, but what exactly we will be talking about, we haven't quite nailed that down yet.
In all honesty, we may not. What? You joined Team Denial with me. Me and Matt have been going back and forth for years on this, literally, about the Han killer thing and everything. The Sith, we'll get into the Sith, but I know definitely we need to do some origins. We need to do some notable Sith from the beginning. Yeah. We can talk more about their abilities. Their lightsaber forms, there's none of those, obviously.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about lightsaber forms again. We will discuss dark side specific abilities at some point. But we'll figure out how all this is gonna play out. We've got so we start our Rebels observance in October, but we have 3 weeks before that. So we'll figure out what we're going to talk about for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm sure we'll come up with something.
So thanks for listening, and come back next week to talk Sith Jibber Jabber. And
we will go to the dark side.
We will go to the dark side, and and you will enjoy it. Yeah, and then we'll have more music and more show and tell.
Yeah.
So until next week, may the Force be with you.